So sports has always been a big part of my life. I was always encouraged to play sports, never stopped from going down to play cricket or badminton or whatever other sport that I could. However, I come from a time where sports wasn't considered a viable occupation. Academics was to be the focus of every child's attention. And I don't know whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, I was not bad at academics. So I couldn't justify just to focus on sports. So I used to study, I used to do pretty well in academics, and which is why even though I was pretty decent at sports, it never came across as something that I would do for a living. Nowadays, a lot of children, if they're good in sports, there are so many options that they have in terms of every sport having a league, the exposure that every sport has. However, back then, we've seen good players lose opportunities because of injuries, because of maybe politics or whatever other reason. So as parents, our parents were always driving us towards the safer option, which was studying and getting a job and a sure shot income, and which is why I never chose sports as something to follow wholeheartedly. I became an engineer. It's not like I chose to become an actor back then, because acting wasn't really something that all parents encourage their children to do as well. So I did the whole default, study well, become an engineer, get a job and all that. But then after working for a while, I just realized that was something I didn't want to do forever. But I was at a certain age when I couldn't choose professional sports, because if you're going to choose professional sports, you need to start latest, by what I hear now that I'm around a few sporting personalities. 16, 17 is like the latest that you start conditioning your body. By the time I made my decision to jump from engineering and an IT job onto acting, my body wouldn't have probably taken the load of professional sports conditioning. And again, now sports is regarded as a viable occupation, and there's so much training that you can get, so much sharing that people do, people accessible. The likes of Sunil Chhetri give out the knowledge that they have, which when we were younger really wasn't the case. Like, we didn't know what was happening beyond our locality. With social media, a lot of children have access to different occupations, not just sports, and they see how people go about it. So that's why I eventually chose engineering. And then when I chose to leave my job, acting was something, believe it or not, between the two, between professional sports and acting was the safe option. Okay, so I've always loved music. I guess everybody loves music. You rarely find people who say like, I don't love music at all. But I used to sing a bit amateur way, like even in school, extracurricular activities and singing and choirs, singing in the prayers. I used to do all of that. I loved singing. I always fantasized about becoming a singer. And even in college, we were part of a small band that performed on one of the days in college. It was something that I would have loved to do. Never trained for it when I was younger. Again, I do believe that to achieve success and to be very good at something, it's much better if you start younger. Eventually, I never got trained. I used to just still be this amateur bathroom singer, if you want to call it. And then in 2012, I actually, unfortunately, suffered quite a horrible injury. I had to get operated on my right knee, which is why I was bedridden for a long time, and there wasn't much I could do, honestly. And that's when I decided, well, okay, I'm going to have to sit in one spot for a while. So why not try to learn some music? It had been in talks in my mind for a long time, but never implemented by me. So I went up to this class in Andheri East, and I met this gentleman named Pandit Paresh Jana, and I was just lucky. I was meant to be there. And he's the kind of teacher who doesn't believe in getting you good grades or marks, but believes in you learning the most, which is, for me, the best kind of teacher that can be. And yeah, so he never encouraged me to learn and give exams or anything. He said, I want you to learn properly. So if I have to make you do one rag 100 times, I'd rather do that than do, say, 15 rags 5 times or 6 times. And yeah, which is why I guess I fell in love with it. And I didn't expect to fall in love with Hindustani classical music. I went there to improve my singing and to become a better singer. But I actually enjoyed Hindustani classical music. Again, I wish I had been introduced to it when I was much younger. But like I said, everything, I was meant to be there, so everything happens for a reason, and I was meant to be there at that particular time. And I ended up learning music for 3 years, vocals for 3 years. I would like to believe I became a little better at it. Other people might disagree. But again, I was already struggling when it came to acting. I was already struggling when it came to hosting. I couldn't afford to struggle in another field. And singing, honestly, I'll admit, there were just so many other people who had been training their entire lives. And you see reality shows where kids come up and they're just so good. They've been training since the age of like 4, 5, and by 9, 10, the voice they have and the ability they have is just supreme. It was honestly a sensible decision not to pursue that too much, because I know so many good singers and so many good musicians out there who are struggling, and like I said, I couldn't afford to struggle in another field. Like my entire life would just be a struggle without getting anywhere. Which is why after 3 years of learning music, even though I love it, I still love it, I chose not to pursue it so much. I sing offhandishly now and then, but I haven't trained since, and I haven't been regular at training at home either. I still have my harmonium and tanpura, but haven't used it too regularly. Yatri Theater Group was great for me. I chose to do the theatre workshop because when I chose to become an actor, I thought I wanted to go to a place where your skills are really tested the most, and I believe that is theatre. You don't have chances for a retake. You have to perform. You could be going through any emotion, but the day you have to be on the stage, you will be on stage. And I guess I've always liked live presentation, which is why I enjoyed so much with sports broadcasting also. But yeah, I chose to do the workshop, and our sir was Om Katari sir, and I learned a lot. And then after the workshop, I got selected in the group. I had to do the whole backstage and all for the first few months, and then got selected to do a very small role in a play called Ek Tha Gada. And then on, it was a slow process, it grew, but I enjoyed being a part of theatre. I really loved it. There is no money, as everyone will tell you, but I like the whole idea of performing on stage. And yeah, we did some cool plays, but one play that stands out for me and will for the rest of my life is this play called Ravan Leela. And I again didn't have a very big role. I was actually portraying a villager who was playing the role of Lord Ram, and it was just such a fantastic play, and we had so much fun putting it out. And yeah, it was a laugh ride. I remember audiences just laughing so much that we used to have to pause before going ahead with our dialogue. So yeah, it was fun. I spent about 5 years over there. I learned a lot. I enjoyed a lot. But yeah, like I said, so I told you that sports has always been a big part of my life. I'm an actor, so obviously the industry is a big part of my life right now as well. I've always been the kid who's been infatuated by actors, by music, by action, dance, everything, which is very typical of a youngster growing up in India. Having said that, for me to meet a sports person, I think it's just so huge, because throughout my entire youth, I guess I fantasized more about being a sports person, specifically a cricketer. And which is why when I meet people who've done it, who've lived that life, I just feel a lot of envy, first of all. but then also a lot of respect because I know I didn't end up doing it and these guys did. Uh, so apart from hosting these big tournaments that you mentioned, meeting these people, anyone for that matter, and I guess that's a difference between a sports fan, a regular sports fan who grows up supporting a team, versus a person who really wanted to be there. That even if it's a sports person who's not had the most fame, who's not done things that everybody knows about, even if it's that person I meet, he's or she is still living that life that I wanted to live. So for me, I feel like a little child every time I meet these people. I did the badminton league and I remember meeting badminton players, and a lot of people don't know these badminton players. They don't follow badminton, they don't watch badminton on TV. But just being around these guys, I used to see them warm up and I'd be like, oh my god, these guys are doing what I would have loved to do. So for me, it's always that fanboy moment, meeting these sports people. And even during the Asian Games, I met Sandeep Singh, and the movie was made about him. And even though I've not followed hockey as religiously as I've followed other sports, but just the fact that these are people of this stature sitting next to me, talking to me like, talking like it's normal to have a conversation with me, and they think it is, and I think it is, but somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, hold on, this person has represented India at like the highest level in sport, and I'm sitting talking to them. So for me, it's always just, I'm in a bit of awe when I meet these people. And I look forward to it. I really look forward to it. I look forward to listening to the small stories that they have that no one has heard, and the crazy times that they've had, the fun they've had, the struggles that they've been through. Because when you hear the struggles that these guys have been through, a lot of your struggles will pale in comparison. So for me, meeting sports people is just one of the biggest thrills in life. From a broadcast point of view, as an anchor, you're never alone in your preparation, I would imagine, for anything, but let me just speak for sports. There are a lot of people helping you out when you're preparing for something. So it's not you just alone doing all your research. Your individual research is there always, but there are a lot of people helping you out, providing you with information, having conversations with you, telling you facts that a lot of people might miss out. So there's a lot of structures in place that will help you prepare for something, especially as big as the FIFA World Cup. Trust me, there are going to be a lot of people talking about it because football is the biggest sport in the world. And there's a lot of people who follow it religiously, especially in sports broadcast. And I can tell you off the bat, and I have no shame in admitting this, the producers, they know a lot more in terms of facts and the figures and the moments than I do. So a lot of times they're telling me about stuff that could help me out. Apart from that, yes, there is your individual research that you read up about teams and players, especially when it's a tournament like the FIFA World Cup. There will be teams, there will be players that you don't know. I've watched football, I've been religiously watching football since the early 2000s, but I've been focused on watching football in Europe. So when there are teams from outside of the continent, even small countries within Europe, I wouldn't know their players. So I need to read up about them. If there's something that needs to be communicated, if something that I feel would sound good in a sports broadcast. But again, I always usually run this by our producers and our production guys, just to have a feel of whether they think it's right as well, because they've had more experience with production than I have. So yeah, there is your individual research and it's all out there. I'm lucky that I am a football fan. So a lot of times I'm reading stuff even when there's not a tournament around, because I just love reading about football and I like to stay up to date. And if there's something that I've not watched, maybe in the past years that I've been a fan, or before that, I might watch it again. I might watch a video and have a conversation with someone about it. I like traveling. I've not traveled as much as I could have, should have. a lot of my friends will tell you how bad I am at that, especially with the amount of time I've had. But I do like traveling. In terms of favorite place that I've visited, I'm gonna go with a city. I'm gonna go with Liverpool, which I actually went last year in 2019. And one big reason is I support Manchester United, and Liverpool and Manchester United are fans, especially, are always arguing with each other, and which is why I was so surprised that I loved the city. The second thing is, just as a city, there was something about it, and I can't pinpoint exactly what it was, but I just felt so happy in that city. I loved going around. There is the entire history with the Beatles as well, and I love music, like we've already covered. So, yeah, Liverpool would be a city that I love a lot. Country-wise, again, I'll be a little partial with the last country that I visited. I went to England, I went to Wales and Scotland as well. And the fact that I didn't expect to be so enamored by it all. I genuinely went there thinking, yeah, it's okay. I might not like the weather a lot. I've heard it rains all the time. And I never heard, you'd heard about Scotland, but I'd never heard how pretty most of the cities in the UK are. And yeah, I just enjoyed it so much. I was there for 33 days and the weather gods were really kind because I didn't see too much rain at all. In fact, in Scotland, in the Isle of Skye tour that I did, the guide himself said that I've never been here and it has been so sunny the whole time. It's like we've seen sun, but most of the time it's rained. This is the first trip I've made where it's just been sunny the whole time. And I remember carrying so many warm clothes to the UK because I was so afraid of being cold there. And in the Isle of Skye, on this mountain, I'm sitting in shorts and a t-shirt because it's so warm, and a cap and sunglasses because it's so bright as well. And a lot of people who went to Scotland were a little jealous that I got such perfect weather. But yeah, just overall the UK, I had a great time there. And I guess because it's a very fresh memory, I'm going to stick with that. I'm just going to say that I don't think I'm that famous that I've seen the disadvantageous side of it. People have walked up and said, oh, we watched this commercial of yours. Oh, wait, were you the guy in that movie? And, oh, you're the guy who hosts the Champions League and stuff like that. That's happened to me, which I would, I guess, bracket in the advantages. But like I said, I don't think I've reached that level of fame where I've seen the disadvantages side of it. But I'm going to go with a player whose jersey I have, and it's the only jersey I have, and it's a player named Ruud van Nistelrooy. He used to play for Manchester United, surprise, surprise, and he used to play as striker. And when I started playing football, and I really started very late in life, and as usual, you want to be the striker, you want to score the goals, but I could run fast, which is why they let me play striker. Technically, I wasn't the most gifted also because I started very late, but I used to model my game on Ruud van Nistelrooy and try to be in the right place at the right time, and also try to grow my hair at one point of time like Ruud van Nistelrooy. So I'm going to go with Ruud van Nistelrooy because of the position he played, because of the goals he scored. He was so good for Manchester United, and it was such a good time for Manchester United, and I just started watching football. So yeah, that's the player I'm going to go with. Live and let live is definitely something I keep saying it, and I do believe it. Live and let live, and this is actually my WhatsApp status as well, so I'm gonna say it. It's work hard and then work some more. Right now, if I was to be able to do one thing, it would probably be act in a Christopher Nolan movie. Yeah. Earnest. Persistent, lazy. My message would be just take care of yourself, guys. It's something that you will have to work on, because in the past we had options. We had friends. We had the option of going to friends. We had the option of going out, maybe getting a drink, maybe going to watch a movie, maybe going and playing something outside, and it's all been taken away from us. So it's something that you need to work on proactively, and that's it. Take care of yourself physically and mentally. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it is something that I really wish all of you do. Try and work out if you can, because the whole theory that they talk about it, producing some sorts of hormones or endorphins or whatever that make you happy. Just stay calm, stay safe. It is very frustrating, but let's not try to do things that might cause anyone harm. Let's learn from other countries which have unfortunately suffered because people didn't do what was required of them. So let's just take care of ourselves, let's just stay at home, and let's just stay safe, and let's stay happy. Thanks a lot, man.